Taurus, week of May 20th through 26, 2026. Starspoken weekly reading. Taurus. Something has been hidden from you. Not maliciously. Not with intent to deceive. But hidden nonetheless, beneath the surface of what is visible, beneath the obvious layer of your daily life, there is information you have not yet been given access to. And this week, the veil is thinning. The High Priestess has stepped into your reading, and she never arrives by accident. She is the guardian of the threshold between what is known and what is felt. She holds the scroll but does not unroll it. She sits between the columns of light and dark, between what can be spoken and what can only be sensed. And this week, she is sitting in your reading because you are closer than you know to understanding something you have been trying to understand for a long time. On May 20th, the Sun leaves your sign and crosses into Gemini. The Sun has been in Taurus for the last 30 days, lighting up your first house of self, of identity, of the body you inhabit and the face you show the world. Now, as the Sun moves into Gemini, it crosses into your second house, the house of resources, of worth, of what you own and what you value. The shift from who I am to what I am worth is subtle but significant. Mercury, already in Gemini and already in your second house, has been whispering financial information to you for the last week. Numbers, valuations, questions about money that don't have clear answers yet. The High Priestess this week says, trust what you feel about these things, not only what you can calculate. Jupiter in Cancer, warming your third house of communication and nearby connections, continues to expand the possibilities in your immediate environment. Someone close to you, a neighbor, a sibling, a person you see regularly, carries information or opportunity that has not yet been fully offered. This week, listen more than you speak. Pluto, retrograde in Aquarius and deep in your 10th house of career and public reputation, continues its slow excavation of your professional foundations. The High Priestess in this context says, do not rush to explain yourself this week. Let the mystery work in your favor. Love and relationships. The High Priestess in your love reading, Taurus, arrives with one unmistakable directive: trust your intuition over your analysis. There is something in your romantic life right now that does not add up, not in a red flag sense, but in the sense of an equation that hasn't yet revealed all its variables. You are trying to understand something about a person, or about a dynamic between you, that is not yet fully available to your rational mind. The High Priestess says this is not a failure of intelligence. It is simply a matter of timing. The truth is present. It is not hidden from you permanently. It is waiting for you to be quiet enough to receive it. For those in relationships, this is a week for depth over surface. Resist the impulse to have every conversation immediately, to resolve every tension before it has finished forming. The High Priestess asks you to sit with complexity for a few days without demanding resolution. What you allow to breathe this week may surprise you with what it reveals by the weekend. For those who are single, the High Priestess signals that something beneath the surface of your social life is more alive than it appears. A connection that seems casual may be carrying more weight than either party has acknowledged. This week, pay attention to who keeps returning to your orbit, not dramatically, but quietly, consistently. The High Priestess deals in patterns, not declarations. Your action step this week: be still and love. Listen twice as much as you speak. Money and career. Taurus, the High Priestess in your financial reading is sending you a message you need to hear. You already know more than you think you know. There is information about a financial decision, about an opportunity, about whether a particular path is right for you, that your intuition has already processed and delivered a verdict on. But you have been waiting for external confirmation before you trust it. You have been looking for data, for proof, for permission from someone else's authority. The High Priestess says, the authority is yours. You have it. Use it. Mercury in Gemini in your second house of money makes this an excellent week for financial research, for reading the fine print, for asking the questions you've been putting off about contracts, rates, or agreements. Information will surface this week. Some of it will confirm what you already suspected. Some of it will surprise you. Either way, you will be better positioned by the end of the week than you are right now. The Sun moving into your second house on May 20th brings a spotlight to your resources and income for the next 30 days. What you see this week is real. Act accordingly. Pluto retrograde in your 10th house continues to quietly restructure your professional reputation. The High Priestess's message here: do not underestimate the value of what you do not say publicly right now. Some of your power this month comes from strategic silence, from letting your work speak rather than your words. Health and energy. Taurus, as the Sun leaves your sign this week, you may notice a shift in your energy that feels like a tide going out. This is natural and expected. Taurus season has had the Sun in your first house for 30 days, a period when your vitality, your presence, your physical energy has been at its most visible and accessible. As the Sun moves into Gemini, that direct solar fuel transfers to someone else's tank. You are not depleted. You are shifting modes. The High Priestess's health message is deeply Taurian: listen to your body's wisdom this week. Not the voice that tells you to push harder. The quieter signal, the one that says rest here, or this food is not serving you, or your body needs water, not coffee, that voice. Taurus rules the throat, the neck, and the thyroid, and the High Priestess is a card of the throat chakra, of speaking and not speaking, of what is withheld and what flows. Pay attention to your throat this week. Are you saying too much? Too little? The body always has the message the mind is still working out. Your deepest health practice this week is not a workout or a diet. It is stillness. 20 minutes of genuine quiet, no screens, no input, will restore more than any physical regimen. Personal growth. Taurus, the High Priestess is one of the deepest cards in the entire tarot, and she is here this week because you are ready for depth. There is a level of self-knowledge that you have been circling for some time now. A truth about yourself, about your patterns, your motivations, what you truly want versus what you've been performing wanting, that has been present in your peripheral vision but has not yet come into full focus. The High Priestess says, this week, turn and look at it directly. This does not need to be dramatic. It is more like the moment you finally say, quietly, to yourself, I already knew that. The recognition. The acknowledgement of what your deeper knowing has been carrying. The sun moving from your first house to your second this week creates a beautiful internal shift for this kind of inquiry. The question the High Priestess poses in this transition: do you know your own worth? Not as a number. As a felt sense. As the answer you give yourself when no one else is in the room? Sit with that this week. Challenges and warnings. The primary challenge of the High Priestess for Taurus is the tension between your desire for certainty and the week's invitation to tolerate mystery. Taurus is an earth sign. You operate best when things are concrete, tangible, proven. And the High Priestess does not deal in any of those things. For Taurus, this kind of uncertainty can trigger the shadow impulse, to force the answer, to demand clarity before it's ready, to make a decision simply to end the discomfort of not knowing. Resist this impulse this week. The ambiguity in front of you is not a problem to be solved by forcing a conclusion. It is a space being held open for a reason. What you're waiting for requires a little more time. Demand the answer early and you will get an answer, but not the right one. Watch also for a tendency toward overthinking, which Mercury in Gemini can amplify. Choose the interpretation that feels most honest, not the one that feels most comfortable. Finally, the High Priestess governs secrets. This week, keep yours. Not everything that is moving in your life needs to be shared in real time. Discretion is power this week. Closing. Taurus, you are wiser than you give yourself credit for. The High Priestess has arrived in your reading this week not to tell you something you don't know, but to remind you that you already know it. Trust the quiet signal. Honor what you feel beneath the noise of what you can prove. The truth that is forming in your life right now is real, and it is yours, and it does not need external validation to be acted upon. The sun has crossed out of your sign and into the next chapter. Your season of visibility is complete. Now comes the deeper season, of knowing your worth, of claiming your resources, of moving from the inside out rather than the outside in. Your affirmation for this week: I trust what I know beneath what I can explain. My intuition is my authority. This is your Starspoken reading for the week of May 20th through 26. If something here resonated at a level you can't fully explain, that's the High Priestess working. Subscribe and come back every week for your dedicated sign reading. And leave me a comment. What is your gut telling you right now that your head keeps second guessing? Let's see how many of us are ignoring the same signal. Until next week, Taurus. The truth is already in you.